Discover the incredible journey of a boy who escaped England and built a life-changing empire. As young Samuel stepped off the rickety bus, the sun poured its golden warmth over his wide, hopeful eyes. He clutched a tattered suitcase, the only remnant of the life he had fled, and took a deep breath, inhaling the earthy scent of fresh soil mingling with the sweet summer air of rural America. Raised in a family where hard work was worn like a badge of honor, he was filled with dreams that danced in his heart. Here was a new beginning, a far cry from the struggles he'd left behind in England. The small town bustled with activity, but warm welcomes were tentative. Samuel's foreign accent drew curious glances and murmurs, a reminder that he was an outsider in a place where tradition ran deep. Yet he was undeterred. In his mind, he saw not just a new life, but the seeds of a future where he would flourish, a vegetable stand born from the blood, sweat, and tears of his ancestors. Weeks stretched into months as Samuel learned the rhythms of farming. He toiled under the sun, learning to sow seeds, and with each planting, he felt the weight of his family's legacy pressing close to his heart. Each crop sprouted hope, but even as he poured all his effort into the land, he was often overlooked, overshadowed by whispers of economic inequality. The vision of his thriving business played in his mind like an old movie, leaving him brimming with ideas yet feeling suffocated. And then came the drought. It swept through the town like an unwelcome specter, its dry breath threatening Samuel's budding venture. His hopes, grounded in hard work and dreams, now hung by a thread. He watched in despair as the townsfolk struggled, but amidst their own fears, something beautiful began to bloom. They rallied around him, pooling resources, offering everything they could as support not just for the crops, but for Samuel himself. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every gesture of kindness, Samuel felt a flicker of belonging. In those moments of unity, he understood the real power of community. But still, he wrestled with conflicting loyalties. Should he chase the elusive vision of his future or stay true to the family values that had brought him here? Every encounter with the townsfolk stirred a storm inside him, their unspoken biases surfacing like thorny weeds. He longed to be seen as more than the foreign boy. Beneath the sprawling oak tree, he sought solace and clarity. Each setback tightened the knot in his chest, whispering doubts of acceptance. Yet, as the sun dipped beyond the horizon, he felt a rise of defiance. Samuel knew that soon, he would face the townsfolk again, this time with everything at stake. Would he push against the tide to claim the respect he craved? Or would he surrender to the belief he didn't belong? As the weight of the American dream loomed large, he steeled himself. Tomorrow would reveal it all, a chance to turn the tide or to drown in doubt. The dawn of a new day stretched across the horizon, soft and orange, bathing the fields in a light that felt almost magical. Samuel stood outside his tiny rented cabin, the cool air brushing against his skin like a gentle reminder of hope. Today was different. Today he would confront the townspeople at the market, not just as an outsider but as one who had fought through adversity. As he prepared his vegetable stand, a few townsfolk walked by, casting sideways glances filled with curiosity and caution. Samuel tried to recall their names, determined to learn them all. Each face felt like a puzzle piece he needed to fit into his new life. He arranged the tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers lovingly, proud of what he had grown. Despite the drought, his crops had survived, a testament to his hard work and the community's support. The market buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the rich aroma of baked goods from nearby stalls. Samuel's heart raced as he noticed groups of familiar faces gathering. He felt nervousness creep into his stomach, but he took a deep breath and steadied himself. Each pulse of anxiety reminded him of the stakes. This was not just about selling vegetables. It was about proving his worth, about binding himself to this community he wanted to call home. He glanced down at his hands, calloused and worn, holding a crate of his best produce. Memories of long days spent sweating under the sun surged through him. His family's determination echoed in his mind. "You have to take chances, son. Life rewards those who dare," his father would always say. Today felt like one of those moments. As the crowd ambled closer, Samuel looked for the familiar faces of his supporters. Margaret, with her warm smile and confidence, and Tom, who always offered a word of encouragement. They stood nearby, nodding at him, their presence boosting his resolve. Maybe this was his time to shine. "Good morning, everyone," he called out, his voice surprisingly steady. The chatter around him hushed, and for a fleeting second, he felt as if all eyes were on him. "I know I'm new here. I'm not from around these parts. But what I can offer are fresh vegetables grown with love and dedication." Some faces remained doubtful, but others began to lean in, curious about what he was sharing. Encouraged, Samuel continued, "Every bite supports not just me, but a dream that's rooted in hard work, resilience, and this community." The vulnerability in his words cracked open a doorway to understanding. A middle-aged woman stepped forward. "You really think you can turn this farm around during a drought?" "It's not easy," she said, her tone skeptical yet softening. "None of it's easy, and I don't expect champion status overnight," he replied, his heart pounding. "But if we come together, we can make something happen. I'm here to lend a hand, not just grow vegetables." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, replacing the skepticism with something warmer. There were nods, whispers, and even a few smiles. Maybe, just maybe, he was starting to change some minds. Then, a loud voice erupted from the back. "Who do you think you are, lad?" The challenge hung in the air, heavy and cold. Samuel took a deep breath as the crowd turned to see a burly man with crossed arms. Uncertainty washed over him, but this was his moment. A choice lay in front of him, to back down or stand firm. Before he could respond, a voice cried out from the crowd. "He's one of us now. We should give him a chance." As the murmurs continued, Samuel felt that familiar storm swirling within him. Where would this lead? Would he find acceptance or face rejection? Today would be the turning point, but the question remained, could he truly claim this place as his own? Or would he be cast aside once more? The air thickened with tension as Samuel faced the burly man, the weight of the crowd's stares prickling against his skin. He swallowed hard, his heart racing. "I'm just a farmer trying to make a life here," he began, forcing his voice to remain steady. "I know I'm an outsider, but I want to be part of this community. To contribute, to help however I can." The burly man shifted, eyes narrowing, but Samuel could see flickers of intrigue in the crowd. The silence felt electric, charged with a mix of skepticism and possibility. He pressed on, leaning into the desire that glimmered within him. "We all want the same thing, don't we? A brighter future for our families, our children." "Yeah, but what do you know about farming in a drought?" The man shot back, and the crowd murmured in agreement, old scars of struggle surfacing amongst them. "I know about hard work. I know about fighting through adversity," Samuel answered, the words flowing from him now, fueled by every late-night sweat and tear he'd shed. "If we share our knowledge, combine resources, we can help each other. I may not have the years of experience you all do, but I have my heart, my dedication, and a willingness to learn." Margaret stepped forward, her voice slicing through the apprehension. "Yes, right. We've all struggled. Why not see if he can help? What's the harm in giving a chance?" A few heads nodded, including Tom S., which bolstered Samuel's heart. The storm inside him morphed into something warmer hope. But the burly man remained unyielding. "Words don't grow crops, boy. Results do." Samuel could feel the blood rushing to his face. He had anticipated this moment, the doubt, the harshness. But what he felt inside was more than tension, it was resolve. "Then let me prove it," he offered, feeling the backing of the crowd. "Let us work together for just one season. If I fail, you can send me packing. No hard feelings. But if I succeed, maybe we can build something better together." The man regarded him with an unreadable expression. Silence stretched again, thick like molasses. Then, slowly, he unfolded his arms, letting them drop to his sides. One season, huh? You're betting a lot on those words. Samuel's heart was pounding in his chest. Yeah, I guess I am. Something shifted in the crowd, a ripple of curiosity sweeping through, igniting whispers of possibility and change. What do we have to lose? Someone called, emboldened by the conversation. Let us give him a shot. As more voices joined in, Samuel felt invincible. Every cheer, every grin, stoked the flame of determination within him. I may not have experience, Samuel called out over the rising excitement, but I promise to give it everything I have. Together we can face this drought. Together we can rise. The acceptance was finally crystallizing, but just as he felt a wave of relief wash over him, a bell rang out in the distance, signaling the end of the market day. The crowd slowly began to disperse, but the burly man lingered, an inscrutable expression on his face. Let us see if you can live up to your words, he said quietly. I'll be watching. We all will. As they parted, Samuel's heart swelled with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. He couldn't shake off the sense that today might just be the beginning of something profound or the turning point of his greatest challenge yet. With the sun setting and casting golden rays over the market square, Samuel stood there, gazing long after the crowd had vanished. His journey was far from over. He had made a stand, but doubts clustered in the back of his mind like dark clouds. Would his hard work and dedication be enough? Or was he setting himself up for another failure? Tomorrow would bring a new day, but would it also deliver new challenges? Morning arrived with a stubborn chill, the kind that wakes you slowly and persists like a bad habit. Samuel stood by the window of his small farmhouse, watching the raccoons scavenge the remnants of last night's harvest. Each rustle of their fur, each flick of their tails reminded him of the burden ahead. He thought of the promise he'd made to the crowd. He had to keep it. With resolve simmering in his chest, he grabbed his worn straw hat and headed outside. The light of day felt brighter, filled with the weight of expectation. He could almost hear their voices replaying in his head, the flickers of support he'd sensed yesterday sparking his energy. First things first, he muttered, approaching the barn. He had assembled a tattered collection of tools, a rickety plow, an old shovel, and a wheelbarrow that had more cracks than metal. They were his lifeline now. As he worked, each scrape of metal against dirt felt like a heartbeat. The grass tugged at his shoes, whispering that he needed to put these doubts aside. With every push of the plow, he felt like he was carving a new path not just for the crops, but for himself, for the community. Just then, Tom appeared at the edge of his property. He stood there, hands clasped in front of him, uncertainty etched on his face. Hey, Samuel, he called, his voice carrying across the morning stillness. Mind if I lend a hand? Absolutely, Samuel replied, relief flooding through him. I was just trying to get as much done as I could. They worked together, breaking up the dusty ground, sharing small talk that filled the air with camaraderie. Each scoop of soil felt lighter combined. Tom shared stories of his father's techniques, an old farmer's wisdom handed down. Samuel listened intently, absorbing everything. With every turn of the earth, other neighbors trickled by, curiosity drawing them close. Samuel could see heads tilt as they sized up the boy they'd all doubted just days ago. Each glance was a test. Did they want to believe in him? Then, as if the universe wanted to cheer him on, a warm breeze blew across the fields. Samuel paused, wiping sweat from his brow, watching the dance of leaves above him. Maybe he thought, but the voice that plagued his mind wouldn't be quiet. What if you fail? It murmured. Would they turn on him? The burly man's face flashed before him, skepticism still lingering in his eyes. Samuel shook his head, banishing the thought. He had made a commitment, and he wouldn't be defeated by fear. He began, but the words caught in his throat. I want to build something more for all of us, he declared, loud enough for anyone in earshot to hear. I refuse to give in to doubt. Their laughter faded behind him, replaced by the low murmurs of agreement. Then, Margaret approached, her hands on her hips, her expression resolute. That's the spirit, Samuel. We're all in this together. Unexpectedly, more of the community gathered around. Some offered tools while others shared their knowledge. It felt like a collective pledge, a pact under the sun. As the land began to look more alive, Samuel's heart soared. He could feel hope threading through. But just as the laughter swelled, a shadow approached the burly man. With arms crossed and an unreadable expression, he watched. An unsettling silence dipped the air. Tension wound tightly. Samuel's pulse quickened, realizing that the time was coming for a real test and exposure of vulnerability. "Looks like you've got a little party here," the man said, masking a tone of curiosity with a hint of disdain. "You think this will be enough to change things?" Samuel steeled himself, words threatening to escape. He had to stand strong. "I think it's a start. If we work together, we can accomplish more than alone." The crowd held its breath, waiting for the man's reaction. What would he say? What would he do? Samuel felt stares burning through him, the weight heavy. He knew that one moment could change it all, and he was ready to face whatever came next. Would the burly man be swayed this time? Would he finally see them all as one? Or would doubt linger, just as fiercely as before? A moment hung in the air, thick as the summer haze. The burly man surveyed the makeshift gathering of neighbors who had rallied around Samuel. He stepped forward, the crunch of dried leaves underfoot breaking the silence as his demeanor transformed. There was an intensity in his gaze, a mixture of skepticism and something else that Samuel couldn't quite place. "You believe in him?" the man asked, pointing at Samuel, his voice low but firm. "After everything? This isn't just about hope, you know. It's a gamble." Gathered around them, the crowd shifted uncomfortably. Samuel's heart raced, knowing this was his chance to answer back. He had to try. "Yes, it is a gamble," he replied, fighting to keep his voice steady. "But every change worth making comes with risks. If we let fear hold us back, we lose. I want to work with all of you, not just for myself, but for the future of this community." More murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded, while others exchanged glances, weighing Samuel's words against their doubts. The burly man raised an eyebrow. "And what if the crops fail? What if nothing changes? Will you still be standing here then?" Samuel felt heat flooding his cheeks. Doubt tumbled in his mind, but he stood taller. "If they fail, I'll learn. We'll learn. We'll adapt and try again. Just like how we've persevered all this time." For an instant, the man seemed to soften. A flicker of something, curiosity, respect, crossed his features before he hardened again, arms folding tighter across his chest. Margaret stepped up, her voice piercing through the tension. "We've all seen what happens when we remain stagnant. Samuel's right. It's time to trust in one another." The crowd shifted again, a ripple of agreement flowing through them. "Talk is good, but actions speak louder," the burly man barked, unwilling to yield completely. "Show me. Show us all that this is worth it. Prove you can lead us into something better." Samuel locked eyes with the man, feeling the weight of that challenge sink deep. He drew in a breath, ready to respond, but his gaze flicked toward the people surrounding him, faces hopeful, faces eager to join him on this journey. "Let us get to work," Samuel said, the words pouring out with renewed vigor. "Let us do something together that they'll remember. Gather tools, stories, ideas. Let us make this land flourish. Not just for survival, but to thrive." As if ignited by his words, the crowd surged into action. Some headed toward the barn for tools, while others disappeared into the fields, excitement buzzing in the air. But Samuel felt the burly man's eyes still on him, weighing his resolve. The man remained standing, watching as the community banded together. Would he join them, or would he stay a spectator? With every passing moment, Samuel felt their collective energy build. He wiped the sweat from his brow, reminded of the bond that was forming, the understanding that blossomed not just in the soil, but in their hearts. This felt like a pivotal moment, the birth of something greater than fear. Yet, Just as the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating their efforts, the ominous storm of uncertainty stirred in Samuel's chest. Was this enough? Would potential triumph unravel with the next twist of fate? And then he heard it. A sharp crack in the distance, a sound that shattered his focus. A tree branch fell, and with it, a foreboding sense whispered that challenges would soon rise as they pressed into this new venture. Would they shake the shadows of doubt forever? What lay hidden into the thickening branches of their journey? Samuel had always knew. Every new dawn could bring unexpected challenges. But would they be strong enough to face it together, or would fragmentation creep back into their unity? The energy buzzed like a swarm of bees, each person who joined the frenzy contributing to a collective hope. Samuel moved among them, heart racing and breath steady, focusing on their tasks. He spotted Margaret rallying a group of kids, their laughter infectious as they gathered up shovels and rakes. Everything felt electric. But in the back of his mind, the burly man's words echoed, sharp and intrusive. Actions. It was all about actions now. Samuel had to keep pushing to prove he could be a leader. He spotted the man still standing by the edge of the gathering, arms crossed with a tightness that suggested doubt. "Let us start with the soil," Samuel called out, trying to divert these unsettling thoughts and channel them into determination. "We'll clear the rocks, prep the land. Everyone has a role to play." With that, they sprang to life. Dust flew as shovels dug into the earth, laughter mixing with the rhythmic clangs and scrapes of tools hitting dirt. The air filled with the scent of sun-warmed earth, hot but invigorating. Samuel moved through the crowd, offering encouragement here, assistance there, soaking in the small victories that each shovelful of dirt represented. In moments of calm, he caught glimpses of the burly man, still a statue amidst the vibrant chaos. His face remained unreadable, but Samuel could sense the weight of unspoken thoughts. The lack of movement only intensified Samuel's desire to reach out to draw the man in. But what if he failed? What if all of this fell apart like autumn leaves scattered in the wind? As the sun arched overhead, a new worry began to gnaw at him. What if his resolve crumbled under the pressure of expectations? He ducked behind a pile of dirt as beads of sweat raced down his sides. He took a breath, steadying himself. No, he made a commitment and he wouldn't back down now. "Hey," he called to a nearby teenager, John, sweat glistening on his brow. "You think you can go grab some water for everyone?" John's eyes lit up as he nodded, running off toward the well. Samuel smiled, buoyed by the boy's eagerness. They could do this together. They could make something happen. But as the day wore on, thick clouds gathered overhead, swirling ominously. A fierce wind swept through the clearing, rustling leaves and carrying a chill that made everyone pause. The atmosphere changed in an instant, the clearing cold and heavy. "Do you guys feel that?" Margaret's voice cut through the worrying silence. Samuel stood frozen, anxiety pooling in the pit of his stomach. The air felt electric, charged with an impending storm, both literally and metaphorically. "What's going on?" someone muttered, looking nervously toward the darkened sky. He could almost hear the rumble of doubt returning, creeping back into the edges of their newfound hope. Samuel clenched his fists, willing himself to push through. "Come on. We've beaten storms before. We can work through this." But then a flash of lightning lit up the sky, striking a nearby tree and pulling gasps from the crowd. The burly man finally moved, rushing to help establish order in the chaos, barking orders at some lost souls who stumbled, hearts racing. This was his chance. "Listen, we're going to head into the barn, gather what we've done, and wait for the storm to pass." The burly man's voice carried authority, a sense of control in the pandemonium. Samuel watched, heart racing, as the man stepped up and took charge. Would he be just another authority figure, or could they break bread as allies, united by more than just the work at hand? As people began to shuffle toward shelter, the first raindrops splattered on the dusty earth, washing away the day's labors. Samuel felt a spark ignite within, a determination sharper than the storm now upon them. The journey had begun, but the question lingered. Would they stand united against the tempest, or would they falter under its weight? He took a step forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. This was only the beginning. The barn doors slammed shut just as the sky unleashed its fury. Rain lashed against the wooden planks, creating a cacophony that drowned out anything less than a shout. In that chaotic moment, Samuel felt the weight of everyone's gazes upon him. He was always the one urging them to believe in the power of their actions. Now he clung to the ceiling beams, heart racing, breath quickening, desperately searching for some grounding truth. The air inside the barn felt thick, charged with collective anxiety. Margaret knelt beside the younger kids, drawing them in for comfort. They whispered questions about the storm, their innocence further igniting Samuel's determination. This wasn't just about him. It was about keeping that spark of hope alive. "All right, everyone, listen up," he shouted, raising his voice over the rumbling thunder. "We've come too far to stop now. Let us use this time to share ideas, to plan how we can make this even better when the storm clears." A few heads perked up, eyes glimmering with hesitance but hinting at budding excitement. He could see the burly man standing to the side, arms uncrossed now, jaw tight but no longer silent. Maybe this was the moment for them to connect, to find common ground in their shared purpose. "Why don't you share what you think we need to do next?" Samuel gestured toward him, heart racing at this bold move. "You've got a vision, don't you? We'd love to hear it." The man blinked, momentarily taken aback. Anger flashed in his eyes, but the lightning outside seemed to soften the storm within him. "We need organization, goals. Without that, we'll be lost in the rain," he said, his voice booming through the barn. Samuel felt the spark of potential. Here was a chance to unite, a chance to blend their different leadership styles into something stronger than before. "You're right. We should set specific tasks. Margaret, can you organize the kids into groups?" "Sure," she replied instantly, her face lighting up with purpose again. "And you," Samuel turned back to the burly man, pushing further. "What do you think is our first priority once the rain settles?" He took a step forward, eyes narrowing with intensity. "Clearing the debris once the storm passes. We won't be able to plant anything if the ground is a mess." Momentum was building. Samuel felt it rush through him like the wind outside, transforming anxiety into determination. "We can also start planning a schedule to ensure we stay on track with everything. We want to make this community garden a place of joy for everyone." For the first time, the burly man cracked a small smile, just a flash of it, but enough to open the door of possibility. "I can help with that. I've got experience managing teams. Just don't let it fall apart." Samuel nodded, grateful and invigorated. "Together, I know we can make it work." They shared a brief look of understanding, a wordless agreement forming between them amidst the noise of the storm. All around, people began to chatter, excitement replacing the earlier fear. While the rain continued to pound relentlessly outside, an electric energy pulsed through the barn. But just as hope ignited again, a distant crash echoed close by. The sound sent a shiver down Samuel's spine, leaving him breathless. What if something critical had just fallen? Was it a sign? As the whispers of worry began to swell again among the group, Samuel could feel the storm and not just the one outside pressing in. "Let us focus on what we can control," he called out, voice steady and full of conviction. "Stay together, keep sharing ideas. We will face whatever comes next together." As he finished his statement, another deafening boom shook the ground, and everyone gasped. What had they lost? Outside, the storm raged, but inside, the true test of their resolve was just beginning. Would they rise to meet the challenges ahead, or would the very thing that united them start to tear them apart? Samuel inhaled deeply, the tension palpable, and prepared himself for whatever the storm had yet to reveal. The barn felt smaller as the storm intensified, the wooden walls creaking ominously under the pressure. Samuel's heart raced again, not just with fear but with the urgency to galvanize those around him. The distant crash had shifted the atmosphere. It was no longer just rain that terrified them, it was the uncertainty of what waited beyond those doors. "Everyone," Samuel shouted, trying to cut through the ominous swell of panic. We've weathered storms before. This is just another challenge. We aren't alone. Look around. We've got strength in numbers. He gestured to Margaret, who had gathered the younger kids, whispering reassurances, her courage contagious. The sight of her determination buoyed Samuel's spirit. He approached her and whispered, "What else do we need from each other?" Margaret thought for a moment, wringing her hands together as she considered. "We need to let them express their fears. It might help. Sometimes talking eases the mind." "Good idea," he said, then raised his voice again. "Let us share our thoughts. What's scaring us the most? We can face our fears together." A boy stepped forward, his voice shaky. "What if the roof caves in?" The murmur that followed echoed his anxiety, whispers wrapping around them like tendrils of dread. "It won't," Margaret said firmly. "We can support each other, help each other stay calm. We know how to make this barn stronger, just like we will make our garden." Her words held a conviction that seemed to thicken the air among them, diminishing the panic. Samuel nodded. "We're in this together. You care about this garden just as much as I do. Let us think of how we can plan even better." As he spoke, the burly man stepped up beside him, scanning the room. "We're not going to let this storm scare us away from our goals. We need to channel this energy. Fear can be powerful, but so can our passion to build something better." The room shifted, feeling the change. People started exchanging ideas, voices rising above the storm, a shared echo of hope. Then another deafening crash rang outside, shaking the very foundation of their safe haven. The kids clutched at each other, wide-eyed, uncertainty creeping back. "What was that?" murmured a woman in the corner, her face pale. But Samuel breathed in and steadied himself. "Let us not fixate on what's out there. We can focus on what we have here. We're ready to face anything together." He met the burly man's eyes again, seeking reassurance. "What about huddling in small groups? Let us break down the fear and charge it into our planning. We've been through tough things. This is no different." "Great idea," the burly man said, crossing his arms again, but this time it didn't feel so defensive. "Let us take a few minutes to gather everyone's thoughts. Just a few words from each group." With that, the barn erupted in a flurry of conversation, anxiety melting into purpose. Samuel watched as small clusters formed, voices turned from fear to ideas, hopes, and shared commitment. He felt a swelling in his chest, a light striking through the dark clouds surrounding them. But, like a dark cloud rolling back in, another powerful rumble of thunder burst overhead, vibrating the barn's beams. Samuel's heart pounded, ominous weight pressing against him. Suddenly, the wooden rafters creaked alarmingly, and in that moment, a startling realization washed over him. "Wait, what if this storm is actually hiding something? Something good?" he blurted, breath hitching. Everyone paused, glancing at one another. What could possibly come from this chaos? As Samuel struggled to process the thought, another crash echoed, louder than the last. Were they truly prepared for what lay beyond the door? Their resolve was strengthening, but shadows of doubt loomed. With hearts pounding in unison, they faced the storm, each grappling with their fears as they prepared to confront whatever awaited them. What discoveries awaited them outside? And would they emerge stronger or be swept away by the storm? The storm's fury roared around them, drowning out their thoughts momentarily. Fear was palpable, a living thing, creeping in on each whispered conversation. Samuel could feel it, mingling with the anticipation in the air. He stepped forward, heart pounding louder than the storm. "Okay," he called again, voice strong despite the chaos. "If something good is hidden in all of this, we need to look for it. We know that storms don't last forever, right?" A few heads nodded, but doubt still lingered in the tense atmosphere. "Let us think of what we want to accomplish when this is over," suggested Margaret, her eyes brightening with focus. "We can build something new, a stronger barn, a better garden. Something that could even stand against the fiercest of storms." The murmurs grew, and as they did, Samuel's heart lifted. These were not just thoughts anymore. They were seeds, ready to be planted in the soil of hope. Exactly. And after we share our ideas, he added, we can help each other make them happen. But then, another loud crash echoed outside, shaking the barn to its core. Samuel's breath caught in his throat. He glanced out the grimy window. Dark shadows danced in the swirling winds, the twisted limbs of nearby trees whipping wildly. What if all of their dreams weren't just waiting for them? What if something awful awaited on the other side of that door? Margaret's hand landed on his arm, grounding him. We can't let fear freeze us. Let us do this together. It's just noise. It can't hurt us here. Samuel nodded, holding onto her words like a lifeline. Okay, let us do it. Who's ready to share what we want to build? Even if it seems silly, say it. A little girl, no more than 7, shyly raised her hand. I want a big swing set, so we can play even when it's stormy. The laughter that broke out momentarily shoved aside the dread swirling around them. It reminded them of simpler times, of sunny mornings, and laughter ringing through the fields. Samuel smiled, feeling warmth spread through the group. Next, a teenager spoke up. I want to grow flowers that smell good. Beautiful, Margaret encouraged. What else? Voices began to flow. Some shared ideas of new tools, repairs to the barn, even a community market where they could trade goods. As the energy shifted positively among them, another crash echoed, but it didn't feel quite as frightening. It was becoming a backdrop to the real story unfolding inside the story of hope, of connection. Suddenly, with the storm whipping fiercely outside, they weren't just sheltered in a barn. They stood united as a community. Samuel looked around, realizing the very essence of their gathering wasn't solely about survival, it was about thriving. But then, a loud crack split the air, resonating as the barn trembled under the pressure. The rafters groaned ominously, and fear flashed across everyone's faces once more. In that heartbeat, Samuel's stomach dropped. What if their growing dreams crumbled alongside the barn structure? Was their newfound hope enough to brave the reality lurking outside? It didn't feel like just a question about preparing for storms anymore. It was a test of resilience, of faith, all wrapped in bonds stronger than any storm. As panic seeped back in, Samuel's gaze shot to the door. Whatever's out there, we face it together. And just as he said it, the barn trembled intensely, the door rattling in its frame, making them all hold their breath. Would they need to confront whatever shadows hid in that furious storm? Or would the strength they built inside be the key to unlocking their true purpose? Was the storm truly just a curtain hiding the light of possibility, or a looming darkness ready to swallow them whole? The wind howled as the storm intensified, rattling the barn's wooden structure, making it lean into the elements. The tension was electric. Inside, Samuel felt it pulse wildly, the uncertainty of what lay beyond those doors combined with the courage bubbling among his neighbors. He looked around, seeing fear etched on faces, and yet, in the crack of light peeking through, hope flickering. Listen, he called, his voice booming against the roar of the rain. We've come so far already. The storm can't take that from us. It might be raging outside, but it's the strength we build right here, right now, that will shape tomorrow. The burly man stepped forward again, towering over the others, but this time, he seemed less a giant of intimidation and more a figure of reluctant support. It's true, he admitted, his voice steady but low. This storm can break us if we let it, but it can also bring something fresh tomorrow. We just have to hold on tight and keep pushing. Samuel felt a swell of promise when he caught Margaret's encouraging nod, her eyes radiating belief in their collective spirit. Right? Let us share our hopes one more time. But this time, for every dream we speak, let us also share one thing we're grateful for. A silver lining, rain or shine. As if magic danced in the air, everyone began to murmur, hearts softening amidst the uncertainty. I'm grateful for my mom's delicious pies, shouted one child, igniting gentle laughter that reminded them of warmth. I am thankful for this barn, for shelter. It's where we can share and grow together. Margaret added, a smile breaking through. Me too, chimed Tom. I'm grateful we're all here to help each other. With every grateful word exchanged, the storm's ferocity began to fade, transforming into a distant whisper. Samuel felt his heart align with theirs. He had never been so sure that they had the power to rebuild, not just for the land but for one another. Keep sharing. Let us keep this energy flowing, he urged. The sounds of gratitude mixed with the bellowing wind, creating a symphony of strength. Slowly, Samuel's confidence began to settle over the crowd like a warm quilt, wrapping them in a shared commitment. Then, just as hope bloomed among them, another loud crack snapped outside, and the barn shuddered under so loudly and splintering the tension once more. But this time there was no fear. This time they were ready. With renewed conviction, Samuel took a deep breath and stepped closer to the burly man. Together we can not only survive this storm, but when it's over we can create something new, a community that thrives, not just subsists. The man regarded Samuel, uncertainty still dancing across his brow. And you think we can turn this wreck into a sanctuary? That's quite the ambition for a newcomer. Absolutely, Samuel replied, a smile breaking through. And we start today, right here. You've got wisdom in your experience, and we have shared passion. Let us build something together. The storm can't wash away our will. Something shifted in the man's eyes, a glimmer of acceptance. He shifted his stance, arms unfolding, not just as a skeptic but a man beginning to understand the value of cooperation. All right, but remember, he said, after the storm we must lift the debris together. And just like that, clarity ignited among the group. Together they faced the storm, hoisting each other's spirits higher, unearthing hidden strengths, resolving to emerge from this ordeal transformed. The rain continued to lash against the barn, but they felt lighter. The world outside would keep its tumult for now, but within the barn, friendships solidified and intentions aligned. Samuel felt his heart swell with possibility, each shared fear transforming into a bond, pulling everyone closer together. Then, as the last echo of thunder faded, a sudden calmness enveloped the barn. The rain softened, and as if cued by the shift, doors creaked open, revealing a world washed anew. A stunning rainbow arched high over the fields, vibrant colors bursting forth against a backdrop of storm clouds inching away. Look, a voice cried out, and in an instant they crowded the door, peering outside. Gasps filled the air as they drank in the spectacle. That rainbow, that moment of beauty, ignited something in Samuel. They had made it together, not just through the storm outside, but through the emotional tempest within. What do you say we find a place to plant a garden? Samuel suggested, standing at the threshold, towing the line between past and future. A cheer erupted, bouncing off the barn walls. He immediately felt the pull of life, of dreams tethering everyone together. Let us go, the burly man said, stepping out confidently beside Samuel. Let us plant. Let us grow together. As they stepped into the sun-drenched field, vibrant energies surged. Laughter emerged. Hearts lightened, stepping away from shadows and into the warmth of possibility. Together, they would cultivate more than just crops. They weave dreams from the soil and build a community simply too rooted to wash away. But this was just the beginning. They would face challenges ahead. But together, united, they were strong enough to shape their destiny, come what may. With every beat of his heart, Samuel felt a connection. It was always about more than just farming. It would always circle back to love, resilience, and the power to rise together through the storms. This is how they began together, rooted deep, basking in the light of a new day, envisioning all that they could become. Now that the dust has settled, it's our turn. You need to subscribe now to keep up with Samuel's incredible journey and follow along on these stories of transformation. This is the moment to show your support and leave a like now to feed the algorithm, helping others find hope and resilience. Comment down below your favorite moment from Samuel's story and how it resonated with you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and be inspired. Let us spread the strength of community together.